appeal to the Chancery Court of Davidson County for review under a common law writ of certiorari. Any appeal must be filed within 60 days after entry of a final decision by the commission. Any person or other entity considering an appeal should consult with an attorney to ensure that the time and procedural requirements are met. I call this meeting to order and welcome everyone. First of all, I want to start by a shout out to the tech crew that moves around with us. I've been meaning to thank you all these times, but at the end, I'm always trying to get out of here. So you're my first order of business. Second order of business is to welcome our new commissioner, Jermaine Cole Jr. It's always great to see new folks join us. And Derek Smith, welcome back. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Okay, we'll give him time off. But it's always a funny thing with your colleague about confirming quorum. We have quorum today, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 8. We're good to go. I don't see anyone for public comments, so I think we're good there. The next item on the agenda is the review and approval of minutes from last month. Are there any comments, changes, motions?
I move acceptance of the minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a second. We have a motion. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please raise your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Crystal, did you get that? Okay, thank you all. The next item on the agenda is the financial update.
Sorry, I'm already farther down. Mark is going to do that with you today, and he is able, since he's the one that handles it as far as the details go, and so we're going to let him explain it to you. Mark?
We're in a good financial situation. We actually are trying to figure out the best ways to ensure we utilize our budget to its fullest extent before the end of the fiscal year. We've had a lot of salary savings due to positions being open. So we have plans for that. There's a chunk of that's going to come from retro pay for promotions that we're doing inside the department. And then we also have a contract that we are also paying. So the budget we'll spend a lot more money than we have right now. But I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has about any particular part.
But just for clarification, we'll spend more than what we have, but not all that we were budgeted?
Yes.
Because of the unfilled staff positions.
We'll likely,
and the retro pay increase.
Yeah, we'll likely spend, we'll get close, but we won't spend it all. One question, if I might, Chair.
Please.
There it is, green. If you would, just say a few words about the closeout process now that we're kind of, approaching the end of the fiscal cycle, which ends on June 30th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does that work for closing out the fiscal cycle and kind of final accounting?
Usually the bills that are invoices that we have to pay for the current fiscal year, it'll be about 2 to 3 weeks into July before we have to finalize that. But as far as our part in the closeout, there's really nothing that we have to do. We just have to make sure that all of our invoices are processed before that end date in July. Outside of that, we don't play much of a part. It's more of finance taking that on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have another question.
Yeah.
If we're not able to, does our ability to not be able to utilize the full budget, does that impact next year's budget?
No, because it will already have been approved. It will likely be approved June 17th. So I don't imagine that In the mayor's budget, whatever he has in there already, if the council doesn't change it, that won't affect us. It'll just be whatever the council does on top of what the mayor did. So his budget is already there. So unless someone wants to change his budget for us, then it shouldn't impact us at all.
And what would happen to the money that wasn't used?
It just goes back into the general fund for Metro.
Okay.
Any other questions about the budget? Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Next order of business is the old business No Hate on My Plate, which I attended last Thursday. And I will say that Edie Tucker was there, even though he was late for his son's rehearsal dinner. So.
Well, since you were there, Chair, would you share your, just a general overview of what your experience was?
I thought it was really, really great because in this day and age of divisive, toxic politics and screens, that it was really great to sit at the table to break bread with Nashvillians who I would not otherwise meet or talk to. We had different opinions about things, especially the Titans Stadium. But we agreed to disagree, and we agreed that for all of our differences, there is what we have in common, and the fact that we all just simply deserve to be treated with dignity. So I find that to be and there were repeat folks already, people who had signed up twice to attend, and they plan on coming back for more. And I encourage them to be a facilitator. So I thoroughly had a great time, and there was lots to talk about, and it was a very enthusiastic milieu. I mean, people were very eager and willing to talk and to mingle and so forth. So I thought it was spectacular.
Thank you. So to date, we have had 4, and we have 5 more that are upcoming. And some of the sentiment that we've been able to glean thus far is most people have a sense of nervousness and anxiousness, although their issues may be different. And to Chair's point, most of them enjoy the opportunity to get together to talk under a situation where the conversation, while the questions are already there, the subject is not prescribed. This is not a setup. It's not a blindside. Just believe that if we can find our commonalities, it takes a step toward tearing down those things that keep us apart. So thus far, we're extremely excited. Commissioner Wynn has been a facilitator with us on 2. We're grateful for the working relationship with American Baptist College, the Faith and Culture Center, and Millions of Conversations for their help in helping us create this process. And we're excited for the very reason that the chair said, that I always watch when an event is open and how quick people leave. And when they tarry, that's a good sign. And ever since the first one, people have been tarrying. And at every one that we've had, people come in not sure of what to expect, and that they step 2 or 3 steps inside of the door, and some of them literally stay there until someone goes to get them and bring them on into the room. And I noticed that when I went by Kingdom Cafe, and the people who were standing, 2 of them had been to the one at Thistle Farms, and they saw it, and they came back, as you said, but they came into the room and stood at the door till someone came to get them. So I really think at the core of what our mission is, I think this is a great opportunity. We're having a facilitation training coming up, and I was told that it's how many people sign up to be facilitators?
About 30.
30. 30. And
Monday.
and anyone else, because see, that allows us to spread out, and that we really need facilitators that are trained in what we're talking about. Because if you don't do it the way we want it done, it can get out of control really, really easily. And the training that Millions of Conversations has developed fits well in our context. And so we've adopted that, and we're having a training to help the facilitators understand what it is. Because most of us do have agendas that we'd like to talk about, whether it's race or religion or something else. But the questions that we have are just to get you to start talking, and stuff comes up out of that. So, again, we're grateful that we're able to do it, and we're just going to see how we can ramp it up over the summer. And I know I'm aspirational, so I'm not going to give a number. And we'll just do a few more of these. How about that?
Well, and remember that this is a 6-month pilot. So basically it's a proof of concept to say, okay, we did all these. If you all have been to any, you've probably met Mark Blankenship, who is our content editor and storyteller. So at the end of this the 6-month process, when we've done about 20 or so, we will have a report out about not only each one, but the topics and everything that we gleaned from these conversations to say, this is worth it. And so we should figure out a way to keep doing it.
And I got to say right here, we only have 4 people in our office right now. And I'm trying to think of the right words to use other than just they're doing a great job. If they were not who they are and have the ability to work independently and to get something going from start to finish, we would not be able to do the things that we're doing right now. That they are working extremely hard to get the job done with just 4 people.
Sorry, and speaking of that, we just posted one job today. Yay! And hopefully there will be a second job posted tomorrow. Yay! So more than, you're yaying more than you clap for us, but okay. So thank you. Wasn't sarcastic at all. So please, we will send out the links to you all for those jobs. So please share them. We're putting them out for at least 20 days to try to get as many applicants as we can. So we really need people. Thank you.
And again, some of these are positions that were approved last July that were not filled or unable to be filled for various reasons. So now we think we have aligned our staff according to the strategic vision that Commissioner Wynn helped walk us through, and that we have an organizational chart that as time goes on and as we continue to try to build out our capacity, we have a solid plan of what that's going to look like. So when we're done, we should have, is it 7 or 8? 8? Just counting what we know now.
We have 7 now. If the mayor's budget holds, and that's it, then there's 1 position in his budget for us that he's doing, and then I think we'll have another position along with that. So it would be 9.
Yes.
Yes. So, yes.
Yes, we were.
I would say yay, but I got yelled at last time.
Yeah, we were included in the mayor's budget to do a deep dive into language access availability and what they have now, which again is an issue that MHRC under the former ED had started that a long time ago. And so we're glad to be able to finally get down to be able to assess the system and at the end of the day provide what we think will be some recommendations for greater coverage and efficiency.
When you're talking about, this is not on topic maybe, but with the language availability, is that just in metro run areas? Like I'm thinking like General Hospital or the court system, or are we looking at even the availability of the driver's test in different languages as well?
Yeah, but that would be state. It would be,
Okay,
it's
so that's
limited to
not
Metro. No, it's limited to Metro.
I just do want to really sincerely thank all of you. You're small but mighty, and we're very grateful for all your work. And it does not go unnoticed. So even if I'm not clapping enough, I'm clapping in my heart. Sincerely. And the city should also be very grateful for what y'all are able to do with such a bare bones unit, because you're the heart of who we are as a town. So sincere thanks.
Feel free to, when you talk to Ashley, to guilt her about not being here, so.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you for the comments. And thank you again, staff members. Bylaw updates.
Thanks for being patient. Whenever it semi-rains, it just, traffic gets terrible. Luckily, thank you to Metro Legal represented here and Matt, who can't be here, but he's done a lot of work on this as well. Part of the sort of task force that Ashley's been a part of from the MHRC has been to look at redoing our quorum. And so that passed in May. So it's effective for this meeting. We no longer have to do the 50% plus one. It can just be a simple majority. We don't have to count effective terms of members who no longer are serving. So big relief on that. That's reflected in the bylaw change that's being proposed at today's meeting, along with another thing that we've discovered when we're looking at it is there's just an address that's in our bylaws. Traditionally, that's not something that goes in bylaws. Bylaws are very slow to change and requiring notice and 2/3 approval, and an address change just doesn't really require that. That's something that we can post on our website, and should we change for emergency issues, we want to be able to update that without having to reconvene as a board. So those are the two bylaw changes that are before you. One is just to reflect what's already in our state or city ordinance language and to be consistent with that, and it just makes life a lot easier mathematically. And then two is sort of to remove the address, which is incorrect. So it's either to modify it to change our current address or to modify it by just removing that. And then we would renumber things accordingly. That's not reflected in the bylaw modification, but it would just kind of come with it as a clerical.
I move that we accept the proposed bylaws changes presented.
Second.
We have a motion. All those in favor of Commissioner Teague's motion? Commissioner Teague motion, please raise your hand.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you, Daniel. Nominations committee update, and we will vote on the new officers for the executive committee. Commissioner Todd, you were on the executive committee. Do we just want to run through the slate and work through this? Any comments?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so we met, I guess it was 2 weeks or so ago in committee and put together a slate for, did everybody get a copy of this or just you? Just you? Okay. So we got a slate and, y'all passing it around?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'll wait for everybody to get, we don't have enough copies for everybody, do we? Be glad to. Yeah. Okay, so they sent it out. So we got a slate for first vice chair. I'm sorry, for chair Ben Tran, first vice chair Darren Johnson, who's not here with us today. Second vice chair Dakota Galvin, who's also not in the room, I don't think, but.
You skipped Jeff here, down here. for vice chair.
First vice chair, Darren Johnson and Jeff Teague. All right. And then second vice chair, Dakota. Secretary Darren Johnson. Wait a minute. Yeah, there's a reason why I didn't announce Jeff Teague. So here's what happens. We got a first slate, okay, and a second slate. Second slate sort of kicks into effect if certain folks decide to. So here's what it is. Jeff Teague is the current treasurer, and if Jeff decides to run for first vice chair, okay, then what happens there is it changes the slate. So we got a first slate and a second slate. So if Jeff makes first vice chair, he wouldn't be treasurer any longer. So he can't be in two positions at one time. And it's a lot easier to see this if y'all have it in front of you. But if Jeff makes first chair or first vice chair, then he vacates treasurer. And in the event that he vacates treasurer, then Todd McKinney is nominated as treasurer. So that is your second slate, if that made any sense at all.
Okay.
Are we voting?
Hold on. Yeah. Daniel, please.
Sure, because again, I think it's hard because board members can't speak, and I wasn't actually there, but what I understand have happened from talking to legal and talking to what came out of the slate is that there is actually only one recommended slate that can come out of and was kind of voted on, and that is sort of the slate that has one chair nominee, two first vice chair nominations, which was Darren Johnson and Jeff Teague, Dakota Gobbin as second vice chair, and then two nominations, again, Darren Johnson and
Just one. First.
Secretary.
One for secretary.
One, it's just
One for
Darren,
secretary.
because Tara is not.
Did not qualify.
And withdrew her name.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
but the thing you have to understand is you would notice Darren's name is nominated twice. He's nominated twice on the same slate. One for first vice chair and one for second for secretary. And it really just it depends on who is elected for first vice chair as to which one he's going to run for.
Correct, but instead of there being two slates, it will still be one slate
all
with
one
all
slate.
of the names on the first slate, and then we will do it one at a time.
One at a
Chair,
time.
Got it.
first
We will.
vice, and then
Understand.
after first vice is decided, it kind of tells us.
Then
what
we
this-
move on to the
Correct.
next. Okay,
Yes.
understood.
But
Thank you.
Legally, there can only be one slate recommended by the nominations, which is all of the names in all of the places, even if there's more than one name in
Gotcha.
two locations.
All right.
So this will be a choose your own adventure commission. Just a couple of words here. Yes.
I believe you're the only nominee, yet you're the current chair and you're nominated to be chair. I do recommend when you all vote on that nomination that you pass the gavel to.
Yes.
some of-
We've already talked about that.
That's me.
Yes. I just want to say a couple of comments. The requirement is that you have to have served on a commission for a year, one calendar year, to be nominated. And as a courtesy, traditionally this has been done this way. The chair does not vote on each of the positions. And also now and then what we will do is we have the slate. If there are any nominations from the floor, we can have those. And then we can have each nominee speak for a minute or two, a minute and a half. And then we could open it up for discussion and vote where we need to vote. And then we'll move on from position to position to position down the row. Are there any questions about, does that sound right?
Yeah, that's acceptable. I do recommend, so no one votes twice, each one gets one vote.
Well, yes. Okay,
Make
everyone
sure you
gets
do a
one
roll call
vote per position. Yes, okay.
And a question: can you vote for yourself if you are nominated?
You can.
You can.
You can.
You can nominate yourself if you.
You can nominate yourself from the floor. Okay? And so, yes.
And so is this a roll call vote?
Yes, this will be a roll call vote. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so now the first position would be chair, and I will let Commissioner Teague take that?
All right. So this is for the nomination of the position of chair. Our one nominee is Commissioner Tran. Are there any nominations from the floor? Seeing none, this comes as a seconded motion from the nominating committee. Doesn't require any additional motion, so we can move right to the vote. All those in favor of appointing Commissioner Tran as chair of the commission, please signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Motion passes, carries. The nomination, Commissioner Tran is now our chair again.
Just for clarification, was that unanimous?
That was in
okay.
fact unanimous. And
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Am I an abstention?
And I
Am I
said, I'm
considered an
sorry,
abstention?
I should have called for any nays and any abstentions, and there was one abstention. Commissioner Tran abstained from the vote, for
Okay.
clarification.
Yeah, I abstain. Okay.
And can I ask one clarifying question? The positions that we're voting on, what are the terms? Is it 1 year or more?
1 year.
Okay.
1 year.
1 year for each position.
You can serve 1 year twice in the same position.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, moving on to the office of first vice chair. We have the nominated slate with Darren Johnson and Jeff Teague. Are there any nominations from the floor? Okay. Seeing that there are none, I will yield the floor to one of the nominees who is here, and unfortunately Darren is not here. So I will let you take it.
Great. I've been on the commission for about 1.5 years now. I've been serving as the treasurer for about 8 months, I guess, 6-8 months. Have attended every meeting of both the full commission and the executive committee. Think I've contributed a lot to the conversation and discussion, particularly around arts commission investigation. And I would just be very skilled at running meetings as well in the absence of the commissioner. So I would be honored to serve as the first vice chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Teague. Are there any comments or discussion about this? Unfortunately, Commissioner Johnson is not here. So I open the floor up to any conversation. Okay. So do I have a motion to for a vote for this position? Do we have to call for the vote from the committee, or is the motion itself? So we just need a second. No, just a motion.
It does not require.
It doesn't require a motion. Okay.
If you did it, it would be acceptable, but it's not required. You can go straight to the roll call vote. If you
Okay, we'll do the roll call vote right now.
I would like to say a word about Darren. She
Okay.
has been a very forthright board member. She's been in the middle of some of our most, I wouldn't say heated, but are important debates. Not that they all are not. But I just want to say that I think I approve this message and would and am glad that she and Jeff are going to be in these positions. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Burton. Are there any other comments about this? Okay, I would now take a roll call for the vote. Dr. Charlton.
Tell me what I'm supposed to do.
You vote for Commissioner Teague or Commissioner Johnson?
Given the information that I've just received about Jeff, Commissioner Teague's ability to continue leading, I'm going for Jeff Teague, please.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Pasternak.
Despite my overabundance of love for Jeff Teague, I'm going to be voting for Commissioner Johnson.
Okay. Commissioner Burton.
I'm going to be voting for Commissioner Johnson as well.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Coleman.
This is quite off. No, I'm just kidding. I have my classmate and Jeff. No, I've sat on a board that Jeff has been the ED for, or not ED, but the chair of, and so I would vote for Commissioner Teague.
Thank you. Commissioner Teague, are you going to vote?
It's awkward, but I will vote for myself, yes.
Okay. Commissioner McKinney.
Teague.
I'm going to abstain from the vote.
Thank you. Commissioner Wynn.
Commissioner Teague.
Okay. So can we tally the votes?
There are, can you all hear me okay? There are two votes for Commissioner Johnson and 5 votes for Commissioner Teague.
And there's one abstention from
one
Commissioner
abstention.
Cole, and I would make 2 abstentions. Okay. Thank you. Congratulations, First Vice Chair.
I will serve you well.
I will say that it's great to have multiple people wanting to run for these positions. So I will say this is a new development, and I very much appreciate the enthusiasm. For second vice chair, the slate from the nomination committee has Commissioner Galvin there running unchallenged. Is there any nomination from the floor? Is there any discussion to be had? Let's go vote. Commissioner Charlton.
I am for Commissioner Galvin to be second vice chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Pasarak.
Yep.
Commissioner Burton.
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman.
Yes.
Commissioner Teague.
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney.
Yes.
Commissioner Cole.
Yes.
Commissioner Wynn.
Yes.
And I abstain.
There are 8 yes votes and 2 abstentions. For Commissioner,
One
I'm sorry.
abstention.
I'm sorry. For Commissioner Galvin as second vice.
Okay. The next, thank you all. Congratulations to Commissioner Galvin for second vice chair. Now to the position of secretary. The slate nomination committee's slate has Commissioner Johnson, and there are no challenges at the moment. Are there any nominations from the floor? Is there any discussion to be had? Let's vote. Dr. Charlton.
I vote for Darren Johnson as secretary.
Commissioner Pastrick.
Yep.
Commissioner Burton.
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman.
Yes.
Commissioner Teague.
Yes.
I abstain. Commissioner McKinney.
Yes.
Commissioner Cole.
Darren Johnson.
Commissioner Wynn.
Yes. Yes.
Is that
Sarah Johnson.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. For the role as secretary for Darren Johnson, there were 8 yes and 1 abstention.
Okay, excellent. Congratulations to Commissioner Johnson. Now for treasurer, we've chosen our adventure. So this means that since Commissioner Teague has been voted to be first vice chair, on the slate remains Commissioner McKinney. Are there any nominations from the floor? Is there any discussion to be had? I love saying this. Let's vote. Commissioner Charlton.
Voting for Todd McKinney.
Commissioner Pasterek.
I gotta think of, no, just kidding. Yep.
Commissioner Burton.
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman.
Yes.
Commissioner Teague.
Yes.
I abstain. Commissioner McKinney.
Yes.
Commissioner Cole.
Yes, yes.
That was the most enthusiastic self-vote I've ever seen. Commissioner Wynn.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you all, and congratulations to our new executive committee. I very much look forward to working with all of you. Thank you, thank you. We really do have a great commission. The next is the ED evaluation, and the report that I wrote has been printed out and was emailed to you earlier. I just wanted to say a couple of comments. I'm very proud of myself for being on the hiring committee that made the right decision, I think. I was.
No false modesty, please.
Overall, I think with the surveys that we received from commissioners, talking to staff and going through our minutes, and just in terms of all the metrics we have, including the growth of our budget, the number of staff positions, and all this has been done, as we've mentioned earlier, with a reduced staff number. Besides the ED, there's only 3 other staff members currently. The ED would be the 4th. Overall, I think it's been a very positive influence. The commissioner hits on all cylinders in terms of vision, execution, community relations, being the face of MHRC, being present around the city. It seems everywhere, always at the Metro Council meeting. So I can't say that. It's remarkable to see the profile and the momentum that we have. I think one of the things that I wanted to convey in this report is that we have great momentum going forward despite the smaller staff size. But as we increase in staff, I can't imagine momentum slowing down. So that's more or less the summary of it. But I wanted to highlight some of the things that I think, besides the everyday and the typically scheduled yearly events like Iftar and Inclusivics, I highlighted the Metro Arts investigation, which was prolonged, difficult, trying, but I think it was navigated very well in terms of both pushing for the right things to be done, but also respecting the purview and boundaries of the Metro Arts Commission. The establishment of MHRC as a central resource hub for language access for all of Metro, I think, is something that has been in the works, but to have that be consolidated here in MHRC is very important. We've talked about the No Hate on My Plate initiative in the series, which I think has been very successful. And then the vision to have a party, no modesty here, but MHRC's own 60th year anniversary. It was incredible to see that ballroom packed with who's who in Nashville, our former commissioners and chairs and EDs coming together. So that's the more or less the gist of the overall report. There were some minor points that I pointed out that I received as feedback from staff and commissioners. The first one from the staff is that E.D. Tucker is a little bit too ambitious sometimes with all of his meetings, and the communications and the feedback or what would be expected from the meetings. The outline, the expectations and deliverables for the staff aren't communicated, delineated for each meeting in a timely fashion. I think this is in part because of a staffing aspect. One staff member suggested hiring a kind of assistant to help with the calendar and the time and the notes from each meeting. But I think this speaks also of E.D. Tucker's ambition to get out there, to meet with people, to talk, and to advance his vision for MHRC, as well as what we are trying to do as a commission. So it's a positive problem to have, but I think that there is ways in which we can, the expectations and to see those come to fruition, be communicated better. In terms of feedback from the commissioners, there's a couple of points. I think one is better communications about the events and activities to further empower commissioners to serve as strong ambassadors and advocates in their respective spheres in terms of the events. And then to create more space for commissioners to engage and collaborate with strategic planning and vision. with staff members as well to chisel initiatives into tangible goals and outcomes. And then the last, and I think just having Mark here talk about the budget, more clarification about the budget, including line item presentations and Metro Finance's standards and methods. Those are the points that I've gotten from the surveys and my discussions with staff. They are, I think, minor to the overall impact of E.D. Tucker's commendable performance, passion, and effectiveness in his work and leadership for the Metro Human Relations Commission. So from this evaluation and from this report, I mean, I should say that one succinct comment from a commissioner was like, he's just a tremendous asset to us all and to our city. And so with that evaluation, I strongly recommend that we vote on this evaluation in a positive light and to give the ED a 15% raise effective as of July 1st, 2025. So if there are other comments from commissioners or discussions about this, please speak up.
I just wanted to say that we had the executive committee meeting last Monday, and we had a really great conversation. I think it was frank, it was honest, it was constructive, it was helpful, and I think congratulations to Chair Tran, because I think he did an amazing job capturing our conversation in a really positive way, and strongly recommend that we accept this evaluation and accept the recommendation of a 15% increase in E.D. Tucker's compensation.
Thank you, Commissioner Cheek.
Move to do those things.
Is that a motion?
I move to do those two
Oh, wait,
things.
can I get a question in? No.
Sure.
If you will, can you talk a little bit about the HR process for our evaluation? And I understand all of this that we're discussing is on public record, but so how does this tie into Metro's HR process? Does it go into a personnel file? Is it scored? Does anybody know how the HR process actually works?
It's required for the commission to grade me and refer or suggest whatever raises I get or not get. It is up to our organization to ensure that we have the money.
Okay.
And we keep files of this. There is this file at HR, but this is the process for executive directors in a composition of a board or commission such as MHRC.
Okay. So it's evaluation on the record, and then it's, I guess for lack of a better word, sort of stored or kept in the record with our HR department.
Yes.
Got it.
With a vote.
Yes, with a vote.
With a vote.
Okay.
Yes.
I wanted to make one more comment about the recommendation for the salary increase. Some of you all remember from our evaluation process a year ago that we discovered
That's right.
that there was a huge disparity between what E.D. Tucker was being paid and what other commissioners were being paid who probably don't do nearly the level of work that he does. And so we recommended at that time an very substantial increase to get him to some sort of parity with his other
Peers.
EDs, other department directors. And we made some progress in that in last year's budget. This is still an incremental step towards getting him to the parity that he needs to have with other directors. So this is the most we could recommend, and we strongly, strongly recommend that because he needs to be compensated fairly, equitably, exactly with the other directors of other boards and commissions across Metro.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Cheek.
Another question? I'm sorry. Okay. I'm going to be voting in favor of the increase, but I do want to know if Metro has any authority to reject or amend our recommended increase.
Yes, and they have practices and customs like what you all last year was outside of the norm. It didn't mean that it couldn't happen, but it would have required a waiver. And I personally didn't think it was appropriate to ask for a waiver. And so, again, as I said earlier, it's a two-part thing. We also have to ensure that we have the funds. So in our advocacy for the budget, particularly as it relates to me, we have to make sure that we get the funding in our budget for whatever raise you say. So that's kind of, yes, and I'm, as I've said before, I am grateful for the trust that you have. And even as I look at the things I need to work on, I cannot argue with them at all. One thing I will say is that's why Mark is here. We were in a staff meeting today, was our staff meeting, and we went to we didn't leave the office till after 3:30, and he wasn't planning on coming. I said, no, you need to come, because he's the one who does the HR and the finance issues. They have a Oracle R12 platform and multiple levels of this that I get to review and sign. But when you ask me the specificity of how it works, I have to admit that I've not given the time to figure out how that works. Mark, with concert from Crystal, handles that. So I have to agree with it. One of the things that I think that have helped us has not only been me, it's been some of the commissioners that we've had in the last few years too, that have helped to raise our visibility. But one of the things that I feel is also part of it is meeting with various people, even when we can't help them. Meeting with people in an effort to build relationships that are not even needed today. Yes, I do a lot of meetings, and I frustrate staff in that I don't have a systematized note-taking thing that, okay, I'm throwing myself on my sword here, and it's starting to hurt, and it's starting to hurt, so I'm done with it. Again, I said earlier, this is what makes it happen. With those shortcomings I have, this is still what makes it work.
In view of Director Tucker's shortcomings, I'd still like to move that we approve the letter and his 15% raise. Effective on July 1st, 2025.
One more question from me, and I swear I'll
Yes,
stop.
Commissioner McKinney.
I guess I'm the treasurer-elect now. I got to ask these questions.
It's a new era. It's a new era.
To the staff.
But before you have further discussion, you probably want to get a second on that motion to have it.
Second.
Thank you.
On you.
Okay.
There you go.
To the staff, are we comfortable that our budget is in place to fund our incremental 15% increase for the director's salary?
You say staff, but you're looking at me.
That's you.
So, as you all, some of you might remember from last year, that process where we were trying to give E.D. Tucker, the raise that was bigger than what HR was comfortable with. So the money that was allotted is still there. So yes, it's still in our payroll, and we actually saved. We got to spend it on other things this year, but yes, we're comfortable with that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And so I will add one of the things, too, is that staff had mentioned how E.D. Tucker allows them to shine and take credit for their work and step forward. And there's a recategorization of staff members to also make sure that they're compensated well. So,
Awesome.
So we have a second motion. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Unanimous across the board. Thank you all.
Thank you.
So one of the things that shows that we have had improved relations with other metro departments and the profile of MHRC, for example, is that the mayor's office has asked us to comment on the housing plan, which is the next item on our agenda. So, E.D. Tucker or
Yes, we have sent you all the housing infrastructure study and the comprehensive housing plan, the one that's over 200 pages. Our ultimate goal is to read through this and assess it as it relates to issues of equity. I don't know how much you've had time to read it. Daniel will be leading up the reporting part of that. So what we talked about today is having a committee meeting at some point to actually come together and try to get what your thoughts are around that. We've asked planning and Greg Claxton and someone from planning to come next month to make a presentation, and then we get to ask them questions on the front end to maybe help us understand. It is a large document. It spreads out 10 years. Some of them do not have measurements on the end per se, but we want to hear from them, and from that point, get together with you all and then issue a report or some draft of a report to send back out to get your all's comments on. Again, I'm really excited about it because this has been the first time that I have ever seen an attempt at anything as ambitious as this. I can remember precisely when our poor areas of town were being ravaged by gentrification, and people were calling out, and nothing was done. We did not get the push that we've gotten now. Until now, everybody's talking about there's no middle housing. Well, people were hollering when there's no bottom housing, if you want to use the word medium. So now people are geared around this idea of let's get some middle housing. Now we still need some bottom housing too. And so it is just our hope that our contribution or our comments come alongside, because as you know, MHRC has had a long history of producing reports about that predate me, producing reports about the housing problems in Nashville. So I think this is something that we're uniquely qualified to do. So we're looking forward to the presentation and then getting your inputs.
I'm actually really glad that they're going to come talk to us about it. I did read the majority of it. I have lots of criticisms of it. First of all, I could not figure out who the intended audience was. Secondly, it is entirely too long. Thirdly, I did not find it accessible in terms of some of the language that was used, in terms of different people's education, understanding. Some of the language was too technical and complex to be understood by a wide audience. And some of it I thought was blah, blah, blah. I've heard this before. So I'm anxious for them to come so we can hear what they're trying to accomplish with it. But those are some of the criticisms that I had of what I've read before I finally stopped, because I thought I was going to lose my mind.
Okay, so
I had just a clarification. So are we going to do a separate committee to kind of like, to focus on our recommendations for the housing plan? Is that what you're proposing? Within MHRC, are we going to create a committee for that housing plan?
Well, I don't know whether it's a committee. I guess it could be. But what I'm interested in that I presented is assessing it around issues of equity.
Yes, I understand that.
And
but would it be a separate group of people that, like, I feel like my work is very much impacted by this housing plan, or would be impacted by the housing plan. And so I'm just wondering what is the best, if I'm assuming not all of us would want to take a ton of time on it, but if we did want to take a ton of time on it, how do we approach this and give you our impact, our time?
Chair?
let me let Mr. Daniel Yoon speak, and then.
Sure. It's a comprehensive document, to be sure, 200 pages. I think what would be most helpful in the next month, before we hear from the writers of this document, the people who've been presenting on it to the public. They've had a couple of public-facing presentations. They've asked for feedback. They're working with a lot of other departments, MDHA, to be sure. One of them, which is still in the preliminary phases, but is referenced in the report, is still forthcoming, but the preliminary findings is already out. So I will send that in a separate email, perhaps. We may have already referenced it, but if not, we'll make sure to send it again. But I also want to reference, too, the MHRC has historically had a role in this conversation. So that's another thing I can appreciate about this document. In 2021, there was an affordable housing task force, of which a couple of our MHRC people were a part of. But that is referenced in our MHRC presentation in 2019 of this desegregation in Nashville and how that played out historically. So I say all that to say that I think the MHRC's role in this has been recognized by the mayor's office with the specific invitation to hear feedback from this commission. And there's a lot of different ways that this feedback could be compiled and then presented to the mayor's office. And I don't want to lock us into one box, so to speak, but I do think in the next month, before we come to the planning commission, or they come to present to us, which I think is significant as well, they're coming to us to speak directly to the commission. It might be helpful for the commissioners if I send out some documents that I think might be helpful in reading through this. For example, it's 200 pages. I'm a lawyer and I read a lot of stuff, but it still, I think, would have benefited me if I had read this report from the Urban Institute, which has sort of a rubric that talks about how to read with an equity lens. And again, every single document you look at might parse through it a little bit differently or look at equity from a different standpoint. And I think that's where we're going to be relying on the commissioners of all of your different backgrounds and diversity, which is why this commission, I think, exists and why we've been so committed to keeping it robust and larger than I think even the recommendations that came to be 7 to 9 members. We said we have 15. And I think this is one of the reasons why. One of our strengths is lay people from different backgrounds and expertise and lived experiences will be able to remark on this and draw some 50 bird eye view perspectives on this that I think will be instrumental. But in preview for that, we will send you some documentation and some equity rubrics that I think will be helpful when you read through this 200-page document or want to parse through it, maybe skim through it. I will say the first 70 pages is sort of background. And that's important background, but it's background. The second 70 pages, I think, is what their findings are. And the last 70 pages tend to be about the appendices. They spoke to stakeholders. They spoke to, they compiled a poll for 4 months and got about 400 responses from people in the community. There's about 26 different roundtables they conducted. That being said, I think there's still more to be added from this group. And I think if we could do that in a committee, we could do that in conversations with staff. But I think the best time to decide that will be after the presentation in July.
So to answer your question, Commissioner Coleman, we're not going to have a final report by next month, but we will have the guest speakers come talk about it. So I think at this moment, any questions or comments could be forwarded to Daniel, and he can compile them, right, with the additional information. I'm sure we will discuss this in the executive committee. So, and commissioners are always welcome to come speak about that. We'll talk about it there. And then once we compile the questions and comments on this first round, depending on the presentation, how that goes and everything else, or what else needs to be done, we will consider putting together a committee or not in terms of this right now. Because right now, I think keeping the conversation open and getting feedback, questions and comments, and then listening to the information and going from there makes sense. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, just for clarification, this is the planning committee that's coming in front of us next month? Okay.
Yes.
I'll just make one last comment about this, which is according to the planning department's own data, 99% of neighborhoods in Nashville are unaffordable for the median Black and or Hispanic family. That's where our work is. And I'm excited to have this in front of us.
Yes.
I'll be super brief. If I had to pick a headline for this is a 10-year document plan, but it's also a living document. And as much as critique and praise might be levied for this first draft, I want the MHRC to continue to be a part of that conversation for the next 10 years. The second conversation, the third conversation, I think will be even harder and more specific than this first conversation will be. So I'm glad we're part of this conversation. I'm glad they've highlighted that row in the MHRC's past, but I look forward greatly and optimistically towards the continued conversation to implement equity in Nashville's housing plan.
I would never bore all of you with my own academic writing, but I was an author on the MHRC pamphlets for housing, and I think you should take a look at that. I don't know if you have extra copies. Yeah, but those are super helpful if you haven't seen them. They were published a while ago. They should be updated.
Can that be found on the website?
It is on the website, but we will highlight it when we send out an email with the follow-up. The Affordable Housing Task Force, again, this 200-page document, but the Affordable Housing Task Force was just much briefer, and again, kind of brings the foundation for what they were addressing in this 200-page report. And then the MHRC's desegregation report, which honestly was distilled into a pamphlet of less than 10 pages.
3 or 4 pamphlets.
Right. So that will also be the 3 primary documents we'll send forward, as well as the preliminary findings report of this other planning document that we think will be a nice bookend to what is addressed in the 200-page comprehensive unified strategy.
Okay. Any other questions or comments about the housing plan? Okay. Announcements, our last item on the agenda. Any announcements?
Yes, we have several. We are super busy in June and July. You've probably already received quite a few calendar invites for upcoming events that are going to take place, but I will list them for you as well. So on the 18th, I'll mention the No Hate on My Plates first. The first one will be June 18th at Jerusalem Rebar. If you're familiar, the year before last, we had their food at Iftar. It was amazing. So I suggest that you all sign up for that one. There's also one this one is invite only, but it's on 6/20 at the National Museum of African American Music. That's invite only. July 8th, there will be one in East-ish Nashville at Backlot Studios, and that will be at 6 p.m. On July 12th, there will be one, I could have guessed that was Whitney. There will be one in conjunction with the 37208 Fund at Hadley Park, and it will take place, I believe, at 4 o'clock. That one is invite only as well, but there are a few seats, a few public seats open. So if you'd like to go to that one, I'll send out the registration link for that one as well. Those are all of the no hate on my plates thus far. Please know that several may be sprinkled in the upcoming weeks or days. As for ice cream social justice, thank you all who attended the last one that we had. It was great. This next one will be in conjunction with Metro Arts Coffee Talk Time, and it will be on the 25th of June at 9:30 at the 37208 Community Building. One other announcement is on the 16th, that is June 16th. Everybody in this room, we'd love for you to participate in the facilitator training for the future No Hate on My Plates. It will be held via Zoom at 5 o'clock. Just an FYI, you have to, for all of the No Hate on My Plates, ice cream social justice, all those things, we really need you to register for them. Please register in advance for them. Any questions?
The 60th.
I skipped that. That is the most important announcement to me at this moment. I underlined it. So on the 6/19th, which is Juneteenth, we will hold a huge event at the National Museum of African American Music. We need you all there. I know there are lots of things going on Juneteenth, but you're commissioner, so you kind of have to be at ours. So it will be held at NAMAM at 12 o'clock. Is it 12 o'clock? At 12 o'clock, yes, at 12 o'clock. So if you haven't registered, I think most of you have, but if you haven't registered, please register for that. We will have a documentary there. It'll be shown you saw a little snippet at the 60th. The full documentary will be shown. There will be a panel with moderated by our own E.D. Tucker, and there'll be pizza and drinks, so you have to come. Okay. Not those kinds of drinks. There will be water. There will be water. Thank you. Any questions about any of the events at all? And if you have not received any calendar invites, I may need to add you, Commissioner Cole. If you haven't, please let me know. That just means I don't have an updated or a current email address for you.
Okay. Thank you, Crystal. Any other announcements? This is very exciting, all the events and initiatives that are happening.
Yeah.
I do just want to take a point of a personal privilege and introduce myself. My name is Jermaine Cole Jr. I'm 19 years old. I'm a college student at the Fisk University, and happy to be here. Me and E.D. Tucker had a great little coffee session, and got me way more excited about what's going on. But I did want to take one more personal point of privilege to talk about what's going on in California, in Los Angeles. We are seeing community organizers and community advocates stand up for what is truly right and to say no to ICE raids and say no to what the harmfulness that's going on in California, and to see this president make our military become guards against our own people and against our own community. So it's very wrong. So I just wanted to give some attention on that issue because it's important, and we got to make sure we're always speaking up when things are unjust, right? Making sure we're always speaking up. But I appreciate that. Thank you.
What an introduction. Thank you. Okay. I think that's it. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A second?
Second.
All those who want to vote, raise your hands. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.